Hi, Amos here, and I have a package from Romania. It's quite interesting. Let's have a look inside. And it contains Meze stickers. So today it looks like we're unboxing and reviewing some stickers. Sounds good. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to take a look at these. The Neo, Meze 11 Neos. So this, I was quite impressed with their the 99 Classics. So I thought, if they're good, I wonder how. And when they offered to send me these, I thought, yeah, why not? Let's have a go of them. So it's hopefully you can see clearly enough. Let me pop open the package itself. The first time I've had any experience of these, so let's see if they can do as well on IEMs as they did with full-sized headphones. That will be certainly a challenge. Now we have on the back, titanium coated driver membrane, and it looks like a fairly flat signature. Let's see if we can see, just to come in here and see the scale on that, if it gets into focus. Seems 90 to 110 dB, so it's maybe the scale doesn't show. Makes it look flatter than it is. Who knows? Titanium coated 8mm mylar driver. Dynamics are always good. They have a fair bit of punch. Frequency responses as expected. 16 ohms impedance, so it can be a little bit tough, but the sensitivity seems to be reasonably high. A noise attenuation up to 26 dBs, that's critical because IEMs are usually used when they're portable. Gold-plated jack and 7N OFC cable, so they've got all the audiophile things, and you've got your high-res sound on there, which I don't attribute to much, though it's on there. It's a marketing thing, I guess. Oh, look, it has Comply written on the side. Includes Comply premium earphone tips. Well, that's good too. Complies are always good for the old person, sometimes like me, where I can't get a good seal. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Especially if you have weirdly shaped ear canals, as a couple of friends do. Well, so they're a little bit loose in the box, but there we go. Maybe we can zoom a bit and have a look at that. We have nice metal casing on there and a 4-pole plug, and they're already in, or semi in their case. No, they're not. There's a case in here. What do we have? Just the usual kind of thing, a case with accessories. See if we can turn it up a bit brighter to make it more clear. Means my hands are all super bleached out, but that's what you get with light colors and dark colors at the same time. Tip selection and a clip. Haven't seen a clip in earphones for a while. And this must be your Complies. Set of Comply foam tips. Looks good to me. And the IEMs themselves, well, they have a little strap around them and soft rubbery cable, which looks attractive, and the usual plug. And we have just a splitter. There's no microphone. Oh, it should be. Oh, there is a microphone on this one, I guess. Yes. Here's your microphone and play, pause, or call answer button. Looks good. I think it's time to run them on our good old run-in tape. Burn in, give them a bit of a run-in and see how they sound. They have little, they have the hook-on tips. I've decided I prefer this style of tip because I can use a larger variety of tips with this style. This looks a lot like the kind of tips that you get with Ditas as well. It's easy to hook these on, and there's a lot of tips available which are this size. So anyway, listening time it is. So I gave the 11 Neos a good run in and then had a listen, and there's something I have to get out of the way first. Now, I've listened to sub $100 IEMs, I've listened to $50 IEMs both in stores and at the Tokyo headphone festivals, and generally they've been pretty awful, you know, terribly piercing highs, bloated bass, terrible mids, the full kit. These 11 Neos have none of that. In fact, I would find them more along the presentation levels of IEMs costing hundreds of dollars, certainly not 50 or 49 bucks, which these are. And something to note here is I listen at moderate levels. I don't listen at high levels. And when you listen at high levels, all bets are off. You know, whatever resonances and distortions come out from the casing and what have you, well, that just is going to wreck everything. So do keep that in mind when I do talk about impressions here. Now the overall presentation of these is fairly even with the stock tips. The stock tips are kind of like the Dita medium bore tips. I guess they're not an uncommon tip made by I don't know whom. And with that presentation, it's more like a kind of AKG K7XX or K701 kind of presentation, where because you have a dynamic driver, not balanced armature, the bass is absolutely delicious, impactful, very fun, very good bass. The mid-range is a bit light. It's a bit kind of bright with the upper mid emphasis, as like the AKGs, and the treble is fairly. It has a well, if you've ever heard of the titanium driver ultrasone full-sized headphones, it has a kind of fairly sharp treble, but still very clean. And I guess part of that may be the oxygen OFC or the high-quality cable that's included with them. And a lot of IEMs have crappy cables, and my experience has been that the crappy cables have been responsible for some of the problems with high-quality IEMs in the past. But I guess all this stuff has become cheaper because for $50 you get all the high-end stuff without having to worry about that. So going a bit around in a circle, we're going to the fit, because they're just a kind of regular bullet shape, is fine. They have a cord that comes straight down, which you can either have go up and around your ear or just have hanging down. Some people like it, some people don't. But generally fit issues aren't so much of a problem unless you have extremely small ear canals or very strange shaped ear canals where regular tips just can't give you a good seal. So I found them a bit upper mid emphasized, which was fine with acoustic music, but not always with other stuff. Thankfully, my first choice for tip rolling is the good old spin fit tips. And the spin fit tips allow, once you put them on, they allow them to rotate slightly in your ears to give a better comfort. You can see there, which they readily do. Now that rotation part in there, if you haven't already seen, causes a little bit of a constriction inside the tube here, and often generates a little bit of bass emphasis. However, being a nice dynamic driver, the bass emphasis that comes out in these is absolutely fantastic. It brings out the bass nicely. It still stays nice and tight, and it made the presentation with music that could do with a bit more impact really nice, while still keeping acoustic music sounding really good. Now, thankfully, the biflange tips which are included have much the same effect. Now, biflange tips can be good or bad for an IEM. Some of them can ruin the sound with the longer tube in there, but thankfully, if you want better isolation and they're not too big for your ear canals, I found you got much the same effect as you did with the spin fits. So that's a good bonus for someone like me if I use them on public transport or on an airplane. Now, speaking of isolation, of course, you have the good old Complies. Complies had the reverse effect. It made the whole overall presentation considerably duller. It kind of ruined the treble, made everything sound dull and mushy and not so good there. So better isolation, but yeah, not so good presentation with those, which is a bit unfortunate. The last tip, which is become one of my favorites recently, is called the Jvc Spiral Dot. Now, if you haven't already seen these, if you can just see inside there, you'll see, if I can bring it up to the camera, you'll see little dots inside the canal there, and those dots are in a spiral shape, and they reduce the resonances that when the music comes out from the tips, and they generally clean up the presentation of the sound really nicely in a lot of IEMs. Now, putting those on, things became a little bit interesting. Now, we talked about the constriction of the spin fits bringing out the bass, and so if you look versus the stock tip, which has much the same as the spin fits, you'll see that these are wider. So you'd expect it to bring out the treble. So I was sort of wondering if this was going to make things worse or better, and I wasn't sure. In the end, what ended up happening is for acoustic music, it tightened everything up nicely and everything sounded fantastic. The problem was that it did bring out the treble, the very high treble. So I was listening to good old Gorilla's Demon Days album, and that has some piercing treble in there, and it was absolutely grating. So with acoustic music, fantastic upgrade. With some other stuff, it was a bit mixed. So the best overall rounders were the spin fits and the biflange tips in the end. But if I was just listening to acoustic music, these kind of graded them up by a considerable margin. And considering that I already think they're competing with IEMs in the hundreds of dollars range, well, that's really pushing them up high. So that was my tip rolling experience. So the next thing I wanted to do is actually try and find out how far I could take these IEMs. Would they would they scale up? How far could they scale up? I mean, I have some pretty expensive DAPs here, so I thought I'd give it a go. Now, recently in doing some evaluations for my FIO X7 DAP review, I have been comparing it, of course, to my Loner AK380. And of course, not surprisingly, the good old 380 is considerably better, considerably clearer sounding than the X7, although the X7 isn't bad in comparison. So I wanted to see if I could make out the better clarity of the good old X7, which has the good old, has Demon Days still playing on it, with the 11 Neos. Now the result of that was I could just a little bit make out the slightly more dynamic and slightly less flat sound of the AK380 versus the X7, with a little bit of variance depending on the module, but not much. So that was pretty good going, that I could still make it out with a pair of $49 IEMs. And so that, if anything, it gives you an example of really how high these IEMs go. And again, 49 bucks. Now, the funny thing is, on Headfi, someone started a thread complaining that, oh, Headfi is becoming more expensive, probably in reflection of release of some expensive high-end headphones. And I think that's nonsense. I think everything's getting cheaper. I mean, you know, look at the good old X7. You couldn't get anything like that a few years ago. And even if this is expensive, I mean, you couldn't get $50 IEMs that sounded this good a few years ago. They just didn't exist. It was just impossible. So I think it's gone the opposite way. I think the fact that you can get a pair of excellent sounding $50 IEMs, such as these and Shozi Zero, is a really good sign for really good sign for consumers, that you can get, you know, essentially high-end quality for not much, and you can save all your money to spend it on music or a subscription service or some tips to fine-tune the sound. So that's the Meze 11 Neos, and what Meze have given me a link that you can click on to purchase them directly from them. Yes, it has my name in it. No, I do not get a kickback, just in case there's any confusion. I guess I just want to see how many people end up purchasing a pair from my video. But yes, I do recommend them, and I will be continuing to listen with them and see if anyone can come out with anything better for that kind of price. I think it's going to be pretty challenging. So if you did like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you do want to see more, please click on the subscribe link, and I'll see you online.